My husband of 7 years cheated with my sister. Then my parents invited me to their baby shower. So I showed up and did this, and now they came begging, throwaway, because my sister follows my main account. I've been lurking here forever, but never thought I'd be posting my own problems. I'm still in shock, honestly, and typing this out feels like I'm writing about someone else's life, not mine. So where to even start? I've been with Patrick for 9 years, married for 7, and we met at university. I was studying marketing, he was pre-med. We were that couple everyone thought would make it, the ones who had their shit together, or at least that's what everyone thought. After graduation, I immediately took this corporate job I didn't even really want because Patrick was starting med school and someone had to pay the bills. The plan was always that I'd eventually start my own marketing agency. I had all these ideas and even had some clients lined up from internships, but I put everything on hold because his career came first, and I was fine with that. Honestly, I wanted him to succeed. Med school, then residency. It was brutal, but we made it through. I supported us financially that whole time, packed his lunches, dealt with him being absent for basically years of our marriage because of his crazy schedule. The last 3 years we've been trying for a baby. Nothing happened naturally, so we did all the tests and started fertility treatments. We did 2 rounds of IVF that basically emptied our savings, like $45K gone. I gave myself shots every day, went through all the hormones and mood swings and disappointment. Patrick was supportive, or so I thought, but sometimes made comments about how obsessed I was getting with having a baby. I should mention Patrick is the most careless person with technology, always leaving his accounts logged in everywhere, forgetting passwords, etc. I've had to reset his email password like 20 times because he kept forgetting it. So, about 4 months ago, Patrick was working an overnight shift at the hospital. I was looking for this recipe we had made a few weeks earlier and thought it might be in his email since I had sent it to him. I grabbed his iPad, which was just sitting on the coffee table, and when I opened it, there was a text notification from my sister Natasha with a heart emoji. I never snoop, I swear, but something felt off. So I opened it and, there were months of messages between them. Explicit stuff, photos, plans to meet at hotels. I felt like I was going to throw up. I just sat there for hours going through it all, finding more and more evidence. They'd been meeting at hotels when he was supposed to be working late. He even bought her lingerie, which explained some weird credit card charges I'd questioned him about before. Some background on my sister. Natasha, female, 29, is the free spirit of the family. She dropped out of college twice, lived with our parents until recently, never keeps a job more than a few months. I actually helped her get a job at my friend's company about 18 months ago, but she quit after 3 months because it was too corporate or whatever. Despite all that, I've always tried to maintain a good relationship with her. I even paid for her to go to Cancun for her 28th birthday last year because she was going through a rough patch, also known as broke up with some guy she dated for 5 minutes. That's the thanks I get, I guess. When Patrick got home around 2 a.m., I was waiting. I was super calm, which I think freaked him out more than if I'd been screaming. When he came in, I told him we needed to talk. He asked if it could wait because he was tired. I just put the iPad on the coffee table, open to their messages. His face went completely white. At first, he tried to claim it was just flirting that got out of hand. When I told him I'd seen everything, including their hotel meetups and all the photos, he switched tactics. He actually had the nerve to blame me. Said my obsession with having a baby made him feel like a sperm donor, not a husband. I think I laughed at that point, which made him angry. I asked how long it had been happening. He admitted to 8 months, which lines up with when Natasha moved out of our parents' house. I asked if he used our fertility treatment money to fund the affair, and he wouldn't answer directly but looked guilty as hell. I told him he had until morning to pack his essentials and get out. Surprisingly, he didn't fight me on it, just kept saying he didn't mean for it to happen and that he was confused. Whatever. Patrick moved out the next day, and I later found out he had secretly rented an apartment for Natasha months earlier, using our money. While I was injecting myself with hormones and crying over negative pregnancy tests, he was setting up an apartment for my sister. I called my parents. Hysterical. My mom seemed shocked at first, but then she actually asked if maybe I had driven Patrick away with my fixation on getting pregnant. I should have known. They've always made excuses for Natasha's behavior. Then came the worst part. 2 weeks after the confrontation, my parents insisted on having this family dinner to sort things out. Guess what? Natasha announced. She's 3 months pregnant with Patrick's child. My father just sat there looking at his plate, while my mother called it a blessing in disguise since I couldn't give Patrick a child anyway. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning, and I just got up and walked out. Didn't say a word, just left. I filed for divorce the next day. I've moved into a new apartment closer to my office, started therapy, thrown myself into work. I'm completely over Patrick. Okay, that's a lie. I still check his Instagram like 5 times a day and sometimes drive by his new place. I'm working on it. Yesterday, I got a baby shower invitation from my mother with a handwritten note saying, "It's time to heal as a family. Natasha needs her big sister now." Are you kidding me? She needs me. After sleeping with my husband of 7 years while I was going through fertility treatments, through mutual friends, I've learned Patrick and Natasha are telling everyone their relationship only started after he left me. Such bullshit. I have the receipts. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to show up to that shower with copies of their text messages and throw them like confetti. Another part just wants to cut contact with my entire family and never speak to any of them again. So Reddit, should I attend this shower or cut contact with these people? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. Thanks for all the support and advice. To answer some common questions. 1. Yes, my parents know the full timeline of the affair. They choose to believe Patrick and Natasha's version anyway. 2. No, Patrick and I don't have kids, obviously hence the fertility treatments. Thank God for that at least. 3. Several people asked if I have evidence of Patrick using our fertility treatment money for Natasha's apartment. Not direct proof, but the timing lines up perfectly with a large withdrawal from our savings that he claimed was for investment opportunities. I've given all financial records to my lawyer. 4. For those asking about my friends, yes, they've been supportive. My best friend wanted to create fake profiles to harass them online, but I talked her down. 5. My therapist says I need to prioritize my healing and not worry about being the bigger person right now. But then she also suggested I might regret cutting off family entirely without trying to work through it. I don't know. Edit 2. A lot of people are suggesting I show up and make a scene. While that's tempting, believe me, I'm worried about giving them ammunition to paint me as crazy or bitter. They're already rewriting history. I don't want to give them more material. Edit 3. To those asking if Patrick pursued Natasha or vice versa, from the texts I saw, it was mutual, though there were messages suggesting she'd had feelings for him for years, which makes me question every time she was in our home. Every dinner, every holiday, every time she hugged him hello or goodbye. How long was she waiting for her chance? Ugh, I feel sick thinking about it. Now for the first update. First, thank you all so much for the support on my last post. I seriously read every comment like 5 times and cried through most of them. So, a lot has happened since my last post. I initially decided I wasn't going to that stupid baby shower like 99% of you suggested. I mean, the audacity of my mother to even send me an invitation. But then I had a session with my therapist. She suggested that maybe attending would give me closure. At first, I was like, no way in hell. But then, something happened that changed my mind. I was packing up all of Patrick's crap that he left behind, because of course, he didn't bother taking everything when he moved out to play house with my sister. I found our wedding video shoved in the back of his desk drawer. I decided to watch it. God, I was such an idiot. There he was, promising to always be faithful and put our family first above all else. I felt sick watching it, and then it hit me. All those random credit card charges from hotels and restaurants over the past 8 months that he claimed were surprise gifts for me. Gifts I never received. The dates matched perfectly with the text messages between him and Natasha that I found. Oh, and here's something I didn't mention in my last post because I forgot until I was going through everything. About a year ago, after our neighbor's house got broken into, I installed security cameras around our house. Patrick hated them and complained they made him feel monitored. I thought he was just being weird about privacy or whatever. Yeah, turns out he was bringing my sister into our house while I was at work, into our bedroom. I checked the cloud storage and found multiple instances of them entering our house together, with timestamps that matched some of their texts about afternoon delight and other disgusting crap I won't repeat. So that's when I came up with the plan. I have this friend from college, Alex, who works in video editing. I called him up and asked for a favor. I asked him to help me create a montage video combining 1. Clips from our wedding video showing Patrick's vows, 2. Security footage of him bringing Natasha into our house, 3. Screenshots of their texts with the gross parts blurred out. It took him like 3 days to put it together. I took a week off work to finalize my divorce filing, making sure all the evidence was properly submitted, and decided that yes, I would be attending the shower after all, with my very special gift. The shower was at my parents' suburban house. I purposely arrived 30 minutes late because I wanted to make an entrance. First thing I noticed when I walked in, my mom had repainted the living room this awful burnt orange color that Natasha always loved, but I've literally said 1,000,000 times looks like baby poop. Then I noticed the appetizer table had all of Patrick's favorite foods. But the thing that really got me, they had removed every single photo of me and Patrick from the family photo wall and replaced them with hastily framed pictures of Patrick and Natasha. Some of them were clearly taken during our marriage, probably while they were sneaking around behind my back. I smiled and made small talk with everyone. A bunch of my extended family was there, some family friends, and Patrick's parents, which surprised me. I didn't know they'd be there. Patrick was hovering around Natasha protectively. Natasha kept giving me these weird, nervous looks. When it was time to open gifts, everyone gathered in the living room. Natasha, now visibly pregnant, was sitting in my childhood rocking chair. I bit my tongue so hard I think it bled. My parents gave her this $1,200 stroller system that made my blood boil, because when I was in college, they told me they couldn't afford to help with textbooks that cost like $200 total. But whatever, I volunteered to go last with my gift. It was a small box, like the size you'd put a bracelet in. When it was finally my turn, I handed it to Natasha. She was confused when she opened it and found just a USB drive. When she asked what it was, I told her it was a special memory for the baby. I offered to help set it up. Before anyone could stop me, I walked over to my parents' smart TV and plugged in the drive. The video started with Patrick's wedding vows to me. The room got completely silent. Then it transitioned to the security footage of Patrick leading Natasha into our bedroom. The timestamps were clearly visible, all during our marriage. Then came the screenshots of their texts discussing how to hide the affair from me. Patrick tried to turn off the TV while Natasha started sobbing. My mom was yelling at me to stop it. My dad just stood there frozen. But the best part, Patrick's parents. His mom asked him if this was true, and his dad just walked out without saying a word. I calmly explained to everyone that these were just copies, and that the originals had been submitted to my divorce attorney, along with financial records showing how Patrick had diverted funds meant for our fertility treatments to pay for Natasha's apartment. Before I left, I told everyone they deserved to know the truth before celebrating a child conceived during my marriage. Then I walked out. I drove home feeling mixed emotions. My phone started blowing up immediately. My mom texted me saying I ruined the most important day of Natasha's life out of jealousy. Jealousy? Is she serious? Patrick called my attorney threatening to sue for defamation. Lol, good luck with that when I have literal video evidence, dumbass. It's been 2 days and I'm still processing everything. Part of me feels bad for causing a scene, but most of me thinks they deserved it. They were all just going to pretend everything was fine and that Patrick and Natasha didn't completely destroy me. I don't know what happens next, but at least now everyone knows the truth. Edit. Some people are asking if I regret going to the shower. Honestly, no. Maybe that makes me a terrible person, but watching their perfect little narrative fall apart was worth it. For months, they've been spinning this story about how Patrick and Natasha found each other after he left me. Now everyone knows that's a lie. Edit 2. To those asking about Patrick's parents, they've actually reached out to me. His mom called yesterday and apologized, saying she had no idea what was really going on. Apparently, Patrick told them we had separated months ago, and that's why he started seeing Natasha. She sounded genuinely shocked by the video evidence. A lot of you are asking about legal consequences. My lawyer says the video evidence definitely strengthens my position in the divorce. Patrick was trying to claim that I was obsessed with getting pregnant, and that's what drove him away. Such bullshit. Now he's suddenly willing to agree to my settlement terms. Funny how that works. For those concerned about my mental health, yes, I'm still seeing my therapist weekly. No, she didn't exactly tell me to go to the shower with the video. She more suggested that confronting the situation directly might provide closure, and my brain went from there. I'm sure she'll have thoughts about my execution at our next session, lol. Thanks for the awards and everything, but please save your money. If you want to help, maybe donate to an infertility support organization instead. This whole experience has made me realize how isolating infertility can be, especially when combined with betrayal. Now for the second update. So it's been about 3 weeks since the baby shower. First off, apparently my last post went viral. Like, not just on Reddit, but someone recognized details of the story and shared it on social media, and suddenly I was getting hundreds of messages from random people. I had to change my phone number because it was getting ridiculous. The divorce finalized way faster than I expected, like suspiciously fast. Turns out when you have video evidence of your husband bringing your sister into your marital bed while you're at work, plus financial records showing he used fertility treatment money to pay for their affair, well, lawyers tend to advise quick settlements. His attorney basically told him that contesting would likely result in additional penalties for financial misconduct, so he agreed to all my terms, including selling our house and splitting the proceeds. At first, I thought maybe Patrick was feeling guilty, and that's why he didn't fight it. But my lawyer, who is amazing by the way, said it's more likely he's just trying to minimize damage to his reputation. Whatever. I don't even care about his reasons anymore. That's a lie. I totally still obsess over every detail of this shit show, but I'm working on it. I've been trying to focus on healing. I joined an infertility support group, which has been hard but good. It helps to talk to other people who understand that specific kind of loss, even if none of them had their husbands knock up their sisters. Thank God. I've also been reconnecting with friends I kind of neglected during the years I was focusing on Patrick's career and our fertility journey. I even went on a date last week. It was so awkward. Oh my freaking God. This guy my coworker set me up with kept asking about my story because apparently he'd heard rumors. I ended up crying in the bathroom after 2 glasses of wine. So yeah, not ready for that yet, I guess. I know I sound like I'm moving on completely, but full disclosure, I still drive by our old house occasionally to see if it's been sold. And I may or may not have a secret Finsta account where I check Patrick's tagged photos. I'm not proud of it. My parents have been calling and texting daily. At first, they were furious about me humiliating the family at the baby shower. Now they've shifted to desperate pleas for reconciliation. My mom messaged me saying they've always loved me and Natasha equally, but maybe they didn't show it right, and asking me to talk to them. It's weird because that's honestly the closest my mother has ever come to acknowledging the lifelong favoritism shown to Natasha. Part of me wants to believe she's genuinely sorry, but another part thinks she's just embarrassed about being exposed. Through mutual friends, who have been amazing and completely on my side, I found out Patrick's professional reputation has taken a major hit. Apparently, several of his colleagues and their spouses were at the shower. I didn't even notice them, to be honest. I was so focused on my mission. The story spread throughout the hospital. He kept his position but got passed over for some prestigious fellowship he was supposedly a shoo-in for. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. And Natasha, she sent me like a dozen crying voicemails. She says Patrick has become distant and irritable and is blaming her for not handling me better. She claims she only got involved with Patrick because he convinced her our marriage was already over in all but name, which is such bullshit because the timestamps on the security footage and texts clearly show they were sneaking around while I was literally injecting myself with hormones trying to have his baby. Like, does she think I'm stupid? Or does she actually believe her own lies at this point? I honestly don't know. 2 days ago, my parents showed up at my door unexpectedly. I almost didn't answer, but decided to talk to them while standing in the doorway. My dad started apologizing while my mom looked like she'd been crying. They told me everything is falling apart since the baby shower. Patrick and Natasha are fighting constantly. His parents won't acknowledge the pregnancy, and many of their friends have sided with me. My mom admitted she never meant to favor Natasha, but felt she needed more support because she was struggling while I was always so capable. My dad confessed they enabled Natasha out of guilt for always comparing her unfavorably to my achievements when we were kids. I told them I won't do family therapy that includes Natasha and Patrick, but might consider meeting just them with a therapist if they're genuinely interested in rebuilding our relationship specifically. When my mom asked if I'd consider meeting my niece or nephew when it's born, I was clear that while I don't wish harm to the child, I have no desire to be in its life. I don't consider myself an aunt to the child of my husband and sister's betrayal. We agreed they'd start individual therapy first, then we'd consider joint sessions in a few months. I never invited them inside my apartment. Last night, Natasha texted asking if I would reconsider attending the birth for the sake of family. I didn't respond. Instead, I booked a solo trip to Portugal for the weeks surrounding her due date. It's something I've always wanted to do, but Patrick always dismissed as impractical. I know the baby shower confrontation gave me some satisfaction in the moment. And yes, I still watch the video sometimes when I'm feeling petty. But the real victory has been finding my voice and setting actual boundaries with my family for maybe the first time ever. I'm not going to pretend I'm completely healed. I still have days where I'm so angry I can barely function. I still cry in the shower sometimes thinking about the future I thought I'd have. But for the first time in months, I actually feel hopeful about my future, one I'm designing completely on my own terms. Edit. So many of you are asking if I regret the baby shower video. No, I don't. Would I recommend everyone handle things the way I did? Probably not. But in my specific situation with my specific family, who were determined to rewrite history, it was the right call for me. And Patrick's threats to sue for defamation went nowhere because guess what? Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. Asshole. Edit 2. For those asking about whether I'm still going to pursue the marketing agency I mentioned in my first post, yes. Actually, I've been talking to some former clients from my internship days, and 2 of them are interested in working with me. It's early days, but feels good to be working towards something that's just for me. Okay, fine, since like 500 people asked, the awkward date guy was actually decent looking and seemed nice enough. The problem was me, not him. When he asked about my story, I basically word vomited everything about Patrick and Natasha for like 45 minutes straight. He looked terrified. I'm pretty sure my coworker got a strongly worded text about not warning him what he was getting into, lol. I know I didn't respond to many comments on my last post. Things got chaotic, but I read every single one, and those of you who suggested I make copies of the evidence saved my ass. The original footage from the security cameras auto-deleted after 30 days, but I had already saved everything to multiple places by then, so thank you.